Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Guys, I'm going to explain you a question. The question is find the domain of fx is equal to sine inverse 1 plus e power x minus 1. Find the domain of fx which is equal to sine inverse 1 plus e power x power minus 1. You have seen a lot of these videos where I have solved questions where you have to find the domain, right? Okay, this is also the same question, and here we are talking about the sine inverse. As in my previous lectures I told you about what is a sine inverse, what is the domain of sine inverse, what is the graph of the sine inverse, and based on these definitions I explain a lot of questions, right? So now we have fx is equal to sine inverse. My vision is to solve a lot of questions based on one trigonometric functions, right? So for example, this is sine inverse, so we will solve at least 15 questions based on sine inverse. Okay, so you just have to practice at home. So now the question is find the domain of fx which is equal to sine inverse 1 plus e power x, and the power is minus 1. The whole power is minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to solve this question. This was your question. Fx is equal to sine inverse 1 plus e power x minus 1, right? As I told you before that if you have sine inverse x, right? If you have sine inverse x, this one, so the function exists when x is minus 1 to 1. Remember, if the value of x is between minus 1 to 1, then the function exists. Otherwise the function does not exist. So keep this one in your mind that x must be between minus 1 to 1. Okay, so now we have sine inverse 1 plus e power x, and the whole power is minus 1. Here guys, you can see here is another one function involving in this question, which is e power x, that is called exponential function. Okay, I'm not going to explain you about the exponential function. I will make a video, but right now I'm just going to tell you something about exponential function, like the domain and the graph of exponential function. Okay, so what is exponential function? This one, e power x. If you see, you have e power x. Okay, this is exponential function. The graph is always like this one. Okay, this is the graph of exponential function. So I'm going to explain you about the nature of exponential function. The nature, what is the nature, right? So the first point is exponential function, it is just an increasing function, right? It's always an increasing function. Second, it has just one y-intercept, okay? This is just one y-intercept, which is 0, 1, right? Domain, here you can give any value of x, right? So x belongs to real number, the domain is real, because for each and every value of x, the function exists. And the range I'm talking about, range. So the range is always range, or you can say y. Okay, so the range is always greater than 0. The range is always, the function always greater than 0. You cannot say that the e power x is equal to 0. No, it's always greater than 0. So greater than 0 means it has all possible values of positive values, right? So Here the question is fx is equal to sine inverse 1 plus e power x and the whole power is minus 1. So based on that definition, I'm going to solve this question, right? So here you have to know only this one. What is the range of exponential function? Second, the domain of the sine inverse is from minus 1 to 1. Okay. So guys, I want to tell you something here. You know, e power x, as I told you here, okay, means, right? So you can say e power x is always greater than 0. So we can say e power x is always greater than 0. This is the nature of exponential function, right? So this is the nature of exponential function, which is always greater than 0. And now we need 1 plus e power x, right? So if we add 1 on both sides, so what will happen? 1 plus e power x, you can just add plus 1 here. So you can say 1 plus e power x is always greater than 1. So 1 plus e power x always greater than 1, right? Okay. Now the question is, if this value, I'm talking about this one, if this value, this is very important point now, okay? Important. If 1 plus e power x is greater than 1, means greater than 1 means the value of 1 plus e power x is maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 100, 1000, 10,000, whatever, right? So if this value is greater than 1, if I make the reciprocal of this one, reciprocal 1 plus e power x. If for example, if you have 1 plus e power x which is equal to 10 and 10 is greater than 1, then 1 divided by e power x means 1 divided by 10 will be always 0.1, right? So if you are going to increase this function, means 1 plus e power x is greater than 1, then the reciprocal of this one is always greater than 0 but less than 1. This is very important point, right? So whenever this is greater than 1, the reciprocal of this one, 1 divided by 1 plus e power x, the value of 1 divided by 1 plus e power x line between 0 and 1, right? Always. You cannot say that this value is less than 0 or greater than 1. No. This value is always from 0 to 1, okay? So if this value is greater than 0 but less than 1, here you can see this value is always from minus 1 to 1. It means from 0 to 1 it's lying here, right? It satisfied this condition, right? So whatever the value of e power x you will give here, this is always greater than 1. And when this is greater than 1, then the reciprocal of this one is always from 0 to 1. It means this can be written as 1 plus e power x. This goes up to this is minus 1 and this is 1, right? So the value of this function is always from 0 to 1. And when this is 0 to 1, if this is 0 to 1, if between 0 to 1, you can say between 0 to 1, then the function always exists. So the domain is a real number. So the domain is real number, right? Means you can just substitute any value of x from minus infinity to positive infinity. The function always exists, right? Why? Because if you just give any value of x here, this will be always greater than 1, but the reciprocal is always from 0 to 1. If any value is from 0 to 1, sine inverse always exists. So the domain is a real number. Guys, I hope you understand it. If still you have a problem, just write down in comments. Then whenever we have a time, I'll reply you. Take care. Bye-bye. Assalamu alaikum.